Hi guys, and welcome to another Divi Theme video. This is Jamie from System22 and webdesign and techtips.com. Well, we've got a little custom hover effect for you today. We're going to show you how to create an overlay for any of your modules. As you can see there, it's just sort of fading down from the top. Quite a cool little effect. And I'll show you how to individually do it to a module. And if you decide you're going to use it in other places on your site, I'll show you how you can globally do it to any module just by using a CSS class. Really easy to do. Like I say, we've got to do a bit of coding for this today, but don't let that put you off. Any code I write, I'll put down below the video. You're welcome to use it as you need. So let's get started. Let's enable the Visual Builder. Once enabled, let's go down to where we want to work here, which is right here. I've got a section here. Blue tab. I've got a row inside that section, the green tab, and I've got a little call to action module there. So I'm going to pop a little call to action module in next door. And it doesn't matter what module you use, I'm just using that for convenience. It's there, it's got a background. You can apply this to any module you like. I'm not even going to style this module. I'm sure you all know how to style call to action module. I'm just going to leave it like that. Obviously you'd want to style yours and put the content in. So what we're going to do, we're going to create a little overlay on this one that perhaps we'll have it coming down from the top. So let's go over to our advanced tab. I'm going to move this over so I can zoom in while we're doing this. I'm going to go down to custom CSS. And in the before, these are what they call the before, and the after are what they call pseudo elements. I'm going to start writing some code. So I need to tell it that we're going to put some content in there. I'm going to say content, then a colon, and I'm just going to leave it open by putting a couple of inverted commas up the top there and close it out with a semicolon. That's basically telling it we've got some content here. We haven't told it what that content is yet. Now I'm going to position this content so it stays where it is at all times. So I'm going to say position absolute. Great. So where is this absolute position? Well, I want it to start from the top left. So I'll say top 0 and left 0. Great. Now I want it actually fading down, but what I'll do first is I'll show you how to make just a simple overlay that'll appear, which will cover the whole thing, and then I'll position so it goes left and right. So I'm going to say height 100%. I'm going to say width 100%. So we told it where it is, we told it how big it is. So we better give it a color so we can actually see it now. So let's say background. And give it whatever color you want. I'm going to give it the Divi sort of default blue, which I happen to know the hex code is 0000FF. As you can see, it's put that blue overlay there. Now if you want a bit of the original color to shine through, we can give this a bit of opacity by putting two numbers on the end from 00 to 99. Without those numbers, obviously it's the full color, but I'm going to put, say, 50 on there. So a bit of our color from behind will bleed through. And that way, if you've got different color modules, it makes it more interesting to me. But obviously that's up to you. Okay. And I really only want to see this thing on hover. So what we've got here, I put that 50 on the end. I'm going to flip that to a 0, which will make it fully transparent as if the color's not there. Then I'm going to go in, and this is common to all Divi modules. If you hover over the dark writing, you'll see a little arrow. If there's an arrow there, click on it. We've got a desktop state when we're not hovering over it, and a hover state, obviously, when we are hovering over it. So I'm going to copy my color. I'm going to pop over to the hover state, the little arrow here, and paste it in there. I'm going to change those back to 50 on the end, so we've got a bit of color. So when we're hovering over it, it's going to do that. When we're not, it's going to do that. Great. Now that's going to be pretty much instant, the time that it takes to go from there to there. I want to slow it down for a bit of drama. I'm going to slow it down quite considerably to maybe 1.5 seconds. So I'm going to pop down, I'm going to say transition. I'm going to say probably 1.5 seconds, but I want it to affect everything. So I'm going to say all 1.5 s for seconds. So now when we flip between the two, it takes about 1.5 seconds for that to fade in there. That's great. Well, if you're happy with that, that's great. You can leave it right there. But I kind of wanted mine to feed in from the top left corner and go across like that. Or in fact, let's have it come down from the top. And I'll show you exactly how to do that. So back in our regular desktop state here, we put height 100, width 100. If I want it to come straight down from the top, I'm going to make that height 0. In fact, I'm going to copy it before I do that. Select it. Control C to copy. Now I'm going to flip that 100% to just a plain 0. So it's going to have no height whatsoever on desktop state. But when we go to the hover state, after that little semicolon, I'm going to paste in Control V, that height 100. And as you can see, it's flipping down from the top now. Go to desktop, go back up, hover. It's going to come in from the top. That's great. And you can play with these. You can get it coming in from the left or the right by doing however you want. So I want it to come down maybe from the top and go diagonally there. So I'm going to go back. I'm actually going to take the width away as well. I'm going to put that to 0. Well, in fact, I'm going to do exactly the same. I'm going to copy it again before I change it. Control C. I'm going to flip the 100% to a 0. And again, I'm going to go into the hover state. So it's now coming in from the top left there. Now, if you wanted it to come in from the left and go across that way, I'm sure you figured it out by now. But what we could do, we could give it a height of 100% and a width of 0. And then in the hover state, we just need to flip the width to 100%. We can take that height away. So now we've got that on desktop. And when we click on it, it's going to fade in from the left-hand side. Fantastic. Well, that works for me. Like I say, if you want it from the top, put it on the top. I think I'll change that back to a 0. And let's change this back to 100%. Now I just need to change that back to the height to get it coming back down from the top again. So there's a few little variations for you there, which is great. And don't forget, I'll put this code down below for anybody that just wants to copy and paste it. Okay, well, let's save this and we'll see what we got. Make sure it's going to work on the front end. Then I'll show you how to do it globally. And exit the Visual Builder. And roll on down. There's our little modules. There's the one I had already. Here's the one that we've just done there. Fantastic. Well, I've got a few more modules down here. I've applied this globally so that any module that you apply a class name to, it'll have this little effect on there. And I've got some down here that don't have any effect on them whatsoever. So we'll apply that to that. Now, to make this happen globally, we want to go to our customizer. To get to your customizer, go down to your dashboard. I'll get out of here. Once in the dashboard, go down to Appearance and then Customize. Click on the Customize link. That'll take us to this page here. Right at the bottom, you'll find Additional CSS. So I'm going to move this out of the way so it's not confusing. And we'll start from scratch. When you're writing code, it's always a good idea to give a title, especially if you write a lot of code. So a title is // makes it a lot easier to find code if you've given it titles, and it's a courtesy if anybody edits the site after you. And we'll call it overlay. Obviously you call yours what you will. And we'll give it a class name. Now all class names have to have a dot or a period in front of them. So I like to make my sort of classes a kind of shorthand. So I'm going to say C for cover, overlay, OVLY. How's that? Covly. That's my shorthand for overlay. Call yours what you want. It wants to be unique, and it is a good idea if it means something to you when you see it that way. You'll recognize it if you check the code out. And all we need to do for this is go over. We've already written the code, so let's enable the Visual Builder. Let's go down to our little block. Our little call to action module there will go in. We've already written this code, so we can just copy it into our custom CSS here. Make sure that we select all of it. Control A to select all, Control C to copy. Let's pop back to our customizer here, and we can paste that in between our little curly brackets there. And I'll just tidy that up. Great. Now we need to create the hover state for it. So I'm going to copy from the dot of the class name there to the E of before. Control C. And I'm going to paste it down below. Just after the Y of covly, our little class name there, I'm going to put another colon and the word hover with no gaps in between any of this. This is all one thing. There's no gaps in there. Now we can open and close some more curly brackets. And in between, we can steal our little bit of hover code here. So if we go over to the hover state, there it is right there. And we'll paste that in there. I think what I'd like to do is change it so it's diagonal again for a bit of effect. So I'm going to change that width back to 0 like I showed you previously. Don't need the % on for a 0. And I'm going to add width 100% to here as well. 100%. That way it'll come in diagonally. Great. So anything that we apply this class name to now should have our little hover overlay effect. So let's publish our changes here. We'll go back over to the page. We can close this down. Now let's apply it to a few things. Like I say, you can apply it to sections, rows, module, anything you want. Got a section up here. Let's have that diagonal effect come in when we hover over this section. So I'm going to go into the section, to the advanced, CSS ID and classes, and it was covly, C-O-V-L-Y. I'm going to copy that. Now anything that we apply that class to is now going to have this effect. So I've got 3 little modules down here that have no effect on them. If I apply this to these 3 modules also, make sure you paste it into the classes as it's a class, not an ID. And we'll do similar for next door. And last but not least, we'll do the little blurb module over here also. Great. Well, let's save our changes. We'll save the page changes. Save draft or publish if you're ready. Let's exit the Visual Builder. And we can go on down that little white section below the fantastic news there. It's going to have this hover effect. As you can see, there it is. It takes 1.5 seconds to come in from that left-hand side. And we applied our downwards one to this one individually. And all these 3 on the bottom should have that same blue color going in there. So there we have it. That's a great little hover effect to have on your desktop site. Pretty easy to do, like I say, a little bit of coding there, but I'll put that code down below. You change your colors and your timing, and it should work for you. In our next video, I'll show you how to make this glowing headline. That's quite an eye catcher too. But I hope you've enjoyed today's video and found it useful. If you have, please give it a thumbs up, ring the bell, comment, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Once again, this has been Jamie from System22 and webdesignandtechtips.com. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.